did my speech on the Columbine Massacre, which happened on April 20th of 1999 in Littleton, Colorado. Do you believe in God? Asked Eric Harris to one of the other students before he shot and killed him in the cafeteria. I think this would be a thought that everyone would have go through their mind if they had to be in this situation where, someone's holding a gun to you. I know I personally would be praying to God that he'd save my life. Eric Harris and Derek Clabo, they were two seniors in high school who acted very normal. They had very normal childhoods and they did normal things throughout high school, but they were very depressed and they did not like people very much. Psychopaths are not people they're not the people we fear on a daily basis. They're the people that we associate ourselves with and we pass by daily. They're the ones that we should be the most afraid of. Their childhoods were very normal. They had two parents and older brothers. They played sports and they were friends forever. They were also very smart. They had good grades and didn't get in a whole lot of trouble. They were just very good students. You would think by the way that they were brought up that they would grow into good working, nice people. High school was very hard for them though. They were not popular at all by any means. They got picked on by the jocks and they got picked on by girls, but they still tried to be normal, and so they had a job together at the local pizza place where they worked there, and they played video games. They were very computer savvy, and they still, even though the girls picked on them, they still thought about them on a daily basis and still wanted to try and find a date to prom. Throughout high school, like I said, they got picked on, which affected their mental health. They were both very depressed, and Claiborne even considered suicide in 1997. Eric Harris had talked Claiborne out of it, and instead of committing suicide, they started planning the massacre. They started planning that in 1998, which would be a whole year before it happened. Because of them being so depressed, they hated everyone. They didn't like but only a handful of people, and they were very angry. They were angry at fellow students, they were angry at teachers, they were angry at the world. Before the shooting, they had started planning it, like I said, about a year before, and they researched how to make bombs. They made propane bombs and pipe bombs and little handheld bombs. They made about a total of 99 bombs, and then they had a whole arsenal of guns and knives and everything to cause a lot of damage. They also studied the school. They studied where the most children would be, at what time, and where they would be able to harm the most people. They found out that at 11:15 there'd be about 500 students for the first lunch in the cafeteria, and so they figured that that would be where they would start their damage. Then after 11:15 they would move on to the library, where they would scope out the people that they wanted to seek revenge from. The day of the massacre, they drove separately to the school. They parked in the junior and senior parking lot, which was the closest to the cafeteria. Once they parked, they went into the cafeteria and dropped two backpacks off that had propane bombs in them, and then walked right back out and got into their cars. At about 11:19, they were expecting the bombs to go off, but instead, they didn't. The bombs that they planted down the street had, though. They had planted two pipe bombs down the street so that instead of the police coming straight to the high school, they would be distracted by the bombs going off there. They had a 12-gauge 9mm double-barrel and a semi-automatic gun and a couple other guns, and then they had utility belts full of ammo and backpacks full of bombs. They started in the cafeteria. When the bombs didn't go off, they opened fire and shot a few people. That was where Eric Harris asked if they believed in God. And then they made their way down the hallways, and throughout the whole time they were shooting people and scaring everyone, they were laughing, and everything was a very big joke. At about 11:29, they made it to the library, and they spent about 7.5 minutes there, where they shot 10 people. They shot and killed 10 people and injured 12. Before all of that, the students thought it was a big prank because of them being seniors. They thought it was a senior prank with paintball guns. It took a very long time for them all to realize that it was such a severe thing going on. In the library, they, shot and killed the people. They left there, and they wandered the halls for about another 8 minutes, where they didn't really try to get into the classrooms, but they, wanted to scare people, which they did. Scared lots of people. About 11:44, they tried to go back to the cafeteria where they would get their propane bombs to go off, in which they never succeeded. So they threw littler bombs around that would go off and cause damage just the same. 12:08 came around, and they went back to the library where they both committed suicide. No one was in the library at the time, so no one witnessed the suicide happen. There was 2,000 students at the school that were all shaken up, and so it was very hard for police to finally get their stories all together. They ended up transferring all of the students that didn't get injured to an elementary school where they would get interviewed. There was a total of 22 students got injured and 13 people that got killed. One was a staff member. The boys, after they committed suicide, they found video diaries for the whole year before planning the shooting and expressing their fears and concerns. Had the people paid more attention to these two boys, I don't feel that they would have caused this big of a damage. They didn't just hurt a school, they hurt a nation. They showed that it's very possible to take down an entire school with the right amount of planning. They had normal childhoods and seemed very normal. They didn't show signs of being depressed. They didn't show signs of being upset or angry, but deep down they were, and eventually they snapped. I hope we can start paying more attention to our students so that this never happens again. Thank you.